Give it up for Moe Flowz. How y'all doing this evening? All right, so I'm about to be the antagonist in here. Yeah. She asked me if I loved her, and I was empathetic, but I lacked reciprocity. I mean, I loved the way that she loved me, maybe because I didn't love myself enough, or maybe I loved myself too much selfishly instead of selflessly. You see, there were things that I loved about her, but truth was I could live life without her and just continue to rent space in her temple, between her walls, disturbing her peace and invading her privacies, you see. But she had invited me. I was outside her threshold, knocking like opportunity, waiting to give her her love finally. But she didn't realize that I was vampire on the inside, ready to come in, waiting for her blessing to come on the inside and suck her dry. You see, I mean that literally and figuratively. You see, I never lied to her. I mean, not with these lips, except maybe when I kissed her. Perhaps my energy stunned her, ran down her spine, and caused her to lose grip, pried her hands away from her pride, and her pride away from her resistance, and her resistance away from her essence, and so she let go. But I ain't never lied to her. You see, she asked me if I loved her, and I told her, I don't want to love you in a way that I think I understand, or love you in a way that I think makes sense. I want to learn your language so I know exactly how to speak to you in your feminine foreign dialect, so when you hear that masculine accent in my voice, it'll vibrate with your chi and make you wet. I guess I could have just told her I wanted to talk dirty and have sex, but I'm a poet, so I spoke to her poetically, making it her responsibility to decipher my metaphors for what it really was. Making it her responsibility to decipher my metaphors for what it really was. But I guess retrospectively, when I think about it subconsciously, I was attempting to be verbally pleasing to her sapiosexuality and maybe somewhat deceiving by using the attraction of her physical beings to separate her legs. I mean, separate her logic from her reasoning. You see, I was using the manipulation of my tongue, but I never lied to her. I mean, I lied with her, spiritually, physically, and spiritually, when I tried to conceptualize my nonsense as innocence, and her too, when she tried to tell herself, if I love him enough, I can love him into loving me. You see, I could love him into loving me. You see, she had mistaken this infatuation for more than just sex. She was wet behind the ears in love from damn near drowning in the gravitational pool of lust, mistaking my backstroke for a touch of affection and my breaststroke for a heart's connection. To her, this temptation felt like a vibe, but to me, she was just a flute of fine wine, and I was binge drinking her, getting her drunk, pouring myself into her, filling her up with regret until it ran over my cold shoulder, into my lukewarm soul. I felt the need to console her, hold her, embrace her, reconnect kinetically, transferring energy, magnetically attracting her misconception to my deception, and her womb to the flow of my seed. You see, she became the bearer of my fruit, unaware that she had just picked from a rotten tree. You see, because our You see, she became the bearer of my fruit, unaware that she had just picked from a rotten tree because our roots didn't intertwine and they didn't run deep. I mean, she asked me if I loved her, and I told her, no. Hold on, let me run that back real quick. You see, because our roots didn't run deep, they weren't intertwined and they didn't run deep, and so the legacy of me fell like a dead leaf onto unfertile soil. You see, I didn't lie to her, not as much as I lied to myself, and admittedly, I didn't love her as much as I loved myself, or I should say, not as much as I love me, because myself was being starved of the God in me while I was busy feeding the savage in me consistently until I was constipated internally. So I had to turn my 10 toes up to 10 turns down to see over the amount of the shit in me. You see, so when she asked me if I loved her, I told her no, I'm still learning to love myself. But I would love to give you my truth and let you decide where to lie. You see, I learned to never lie to her when I learned to never lie to myself again. Thank you. You can follow me on Instagram, Moe Flowz, that's MoeFlowz, and on TikTok, MoeFlowz02. Thank you.